into residential.
Yeah, I couldn't find out how to get there.
So it's,
but once you know how to get there, it's easy. It's one road, right? And it's really tucked back in. It's basically like in somebody's backyard.
Oh shoot!
Because there's houses all around the falls.
Yeah, there's always houses around there and stuff.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So like you look like some people's houses actually back onto the stream that feeds the waterfall.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. And it's not houses, it's mansions back there. Actually.
Yeah, mansions, mega
Yeah.
mansions. That one house, the first house that you come in on the left, takes up like almost a block, man. Oh shit, crazy.
Yeah.
They hogging it for themselves, huh?
Yeah, man.
Big time. You know what they're getting off that waterfall?
More times when you see most of
got
them, the property that they have, it's like just what they have on the property is like useless items that they just have sitting there.
Yeah.
Most of them, and these, old boats, that are, old longboarders, It's not good, man.
There's a lot more. Let's get started. Five on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace.
Freedom.
And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. He was holy prophet. Noble Juali. Islam. Once again, good to be back home. For real. We'll start up with our letters to be read every meeting. And keep in mind that these letters that were put out were specifically put out because of all the corruption that was going on in the Moorish Science Temple before Noble Juali passed. So you had Noble Juali putting out stuff. After Noble Juali passed, you had Emile putting out letters naming all the people who were the corrupt people. So when if you go online and you Google search Moorish Science Temple Emile letters, some of the letters will come up with the names of the people who were the corrupt people. And when we look at the landscape today of the Moorish movement, and we see the followers of those people who were the corrupt people around today, you realize that those people who are around today are the ones that say, don't listen to Taj Tariq Bey and don't go to RV Bey publications and don't listen to Kudro, and everybody has something to say about the Moors who have been putting in work since, say the last 20, 30 years. There's been Moors that have been putting in work where prior to that there was no activity as far as it being in the public for people to have access to the information, right? Like you could probably say CM Bey was like the last individual that was speaking out with regard to certain things, and then after he passed, then there was a lull, and then you have people, like Taj and Hakeem Bey and these people in the past 20, 30 years that were actually bringing this information out of this building called Moorish Science Temple into the public so people could have access to it. Because people's perspective of Moorish Science Temple is, come in the door and then you're going to get certain things. When Noble Juali told Moors that they're supposed to take this to the hedges and the highways, which, there's no highway in here and no hedges in here. So the work was always supposed to be done outside, right? A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. And then also, these things that are to be read in every meeting, the letter is said to be read in every meeting on the letter, right? So the fact that a lot of these things weren't told to people is why when new people come into the movement and say, oh, there's so much confusion in the Moorish movement, this is why. because the people whose job it is to cause confusion, the agents working for CIA, FBI, whoever, Homeland Security, whatever, to keep people's mind absent of the fact of Noble Drew Ali, Moorish movement and stuff like that. You know, they weren't reading the stuff that was supposed to be read. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, these are the instructions from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so Allah says to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Let's read that part again. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit, not some or whatever, every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. Right? So the ones who have weak minds, they're not even considered, because, you know, their minds are weak. We can't use them anyways. Even if we wanted to use them, we can't use them, because at the sliver of evil spirit moving, their mind's gonna go in that direction. They're not even gonna put up a fight against the evil spirit moving on their mind. They'll let the evil spirit take their mind over and use them against other people or whatever. Right? And the ones that do have faith in what Noble Drew Ali brought, those are the ones that are going to be tried the most. Right? Because the idea is not to get them to detach or disconnect or whatever from the Moorish movement, but it's just to get them in a state of confusion about what this is. So they say, they'll talk to Taj and they hear one thing, and then they go talk some more over there and then they hear something different, and now they don't know which way to go. When if they studied, like Noble Drew Ali told them to do, they would know which way to go, without even talking to any of those two individuals. Because the manifest of nationality and birthrights is based on your five senses. It's based on how you perceive the information that you digest. Everybody else who has any information with regard to this that people consider, it's only for those people to be inspired. It's not for them to take what somebody said and then, oh yeah, I'm going to apply this because he said it and it worked for him. It's really about the individual taking this information, digesting it for yourself, You have your own free will. You have your birthright. And majority of the people, it's like somebody was leaving messages on one of the YouTube videos, one of the most recent YouTube videos, about the King Leopold documentary, where they have the cover with the brothers with the fezzes on, and they got the guns on the brothers or whatever like that. And they go, how come you guys supporting Moors who killed Africans for King Leopold or whatever like that? Well, when you clearly look at those people, you see that those people are Congolese with fezzes on. They're not, they're not Moors like that in the context that we say Moors. Like, yeah, we say that everybody's Moors, but people like to play the game that when it's convenient, now everybody's Moors. When there's negativity and stuff like that, oh yeah, they're classifying everybody as Moors when there's negativity. But when it's positive stuff, then they're making, they're picking when people are Moors, when people aren't Moors, when fezzes mean something, when fezzes don't mean anything, right? So what I was telling the individual was, well, because she's like, well, you said that everybody's Moors and that Africans are Moors, and I'm like, yo, well, you know what? I said all that to accommodate your ignorance. Because if you're going to tell me that King Leopold, in order to subjugate Congolese people, went somewhere and found Moors, and then told those Moors, well, I'm in a contract with you or whatever like that, let's go now over to the Congolese and then do it. That's stupid talk.
That's like the Buffalo Soldiers.
Right, right?
They supposedly took Africans from Africa,
Yeah.
got them to chase down indigenous Americans in America, gave them guns, paid them or whatever, gave them horses, and expected them to come back and expected them to succeed.
Yeah.
To track down somebody in his native land when they're not even from that
They're not even from that land.
supposedly.
Right? So, but they know the terrain, they know where to go, they know
How to track
they know
this
all
man
the,
when he's
they
at
know
home.
yeah, right? They know the guy, the foreigner knows how to track the guy who's living there.
Yeah.
Right?
Doesn't add up.
Right? Doesn't add up, right? And if 1 and 1 equals 3, then hey, you know what I mean? Like, do your thing, right? Okay? So they want to cause this confusion amongst the people who are newly coming into this, right? But remember that Noble Drew Ali said that there's going to be new people that come into this with their eyes open already. Right? So the people who are coming in with their eyes open already, they're already looking at these people like, this guy's trying some stuff or whatever. These guys trying to pull whatever. You know what I mean? That's why all these people come in leaving messages, say, oh yeah, good job on that, Lord Abba, and going at him and letting him know whatever like that. All these people trying to get followers, and oh yeah, thanks for putting out that video on Dr. Reggie, and thanks for putting out that video. About time somebody talks about these stupid people or whatever. Elder even came out, put out his own video, right? Saying that all these guys are freaking full of BS. All these guys are just push button people. Why is anybody even listening to these people? Elder
went in.
smoking cigarettes and all that stuff, and he even knows that something's wrong with the messages that these people are relaying, right? Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam, I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years. Go. What's good? What's good? Yes, sir. Right now, something that we didn't address yesterday with this whole thing with Way L, Lord Abba, was the whole concept of them with justifying licenses and, Noble Drew Ali said get a license and all that stuff. Right? Another one of the readings, Prophet sends marriage law to all the temples. Remember that this is between 1913 and 1929. All marriage ceremonies of members of the Moorish Science Temple of America must be performed by an ordained minister and the head of the temple. And any man desiring to take unto himself a wife and receive our Moorish rights, he must go to City Hall and receive his license to be registered in that city, county, and state. It then must be turned over into the hands of the aforesaid ordained minister and head of a temple after it has been properly signed by city officials. The price thereby for such administering to man and wife will be $5. For all those who have their papers and desire our Moorish marriage ceremony, it's $3. We Moors cannot marry anyone, but we obligate you, according to our divine laws and covenant and the laws of the land. This must be proclaimed and made known to every temple so that there will be no misunderstanding. There will be no misunderstanding about I, the prophet, and my teachings, because Allah alone binds two hearts together as a unit. These are the marriage obligations and instructions for man and wife. Chapter 22 from our Quran is to be read first to the husband, and chapter 21 is to be read secondly to the wife. These are the instructions of marriage from our Holy Quran. Please obey the law as given to you by your prophet through your governor, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So the thing that is not considered, chapter 22
for the man.
Yeah, for the man, and chapter 21
for the woman.
For the woman.
Okay.
Chapter 22 and 21, and then that's marriage instructions to the husband, marriage instructions to the wife. What is not considered when they see license or whatever like that, and then these COINTELPRO, agent Moors get excited and they figure that, oh yeah, we got this. Noble Drew Ali said license, so now we got him or whatever like that. What they fail to realize is that Noble Drew Ali is talking about city hall and city officials and city and county and state and all that, but from a republic perspective, not democracy. If you're dealing with a Republican form of government, yeah, you can go to City Hall and talk with those people, because as Republican officials, their duty is to enforce the Constitution. Democracy, their duty is to enforce their little law society of whatever rules, statutes, ordinances that they make up, which is two different jurisdictions. So when they say, well, Noble Drew Ali said license, so more should go get licenses, whether it's driver's license, work license, permit for whatever, or whatever like that, they're telling people to go sign up with the democracy, which is contrary to what we're supposed to be doing as nationals of this republic. We're supposed to stand for constitutional enforcement, not democratic enforcement. And this is why you would hear these same people in City Hall and all that reference democracy, but from a republic perspective. Because when you check democracy speaks from the aspect of Republican demonstration. It speaks of the people are the ones who are the ones in control, not the heads. In true democracy. But when you look up the etymology of democracy, it tells you mob rule. It tells you demonocracy. It doesn't have anything to do with government at all. It has anything to do with somebody being the head of a state, city, or whatever like that. It has to do with people just ruling over people just because they're stupid enough to let them do that. Right? So as soon as you hear Moors start saying that, you know, people like Taj and Cujo and these people are anti-government because they're telling people don't get licenses and whatever like that, which is supposed to let the people know that these people are working for the other people. If they're telling you that the ones who are speaking about enforcing the Constitution are anti-government, right? The ones who are speaking about have a nationality and UN declarations say that you have a right to a nationality. El Hajj told people to go, you know, that he was going to UN and all that stuff in the 60s. And because he called himself black, they denied him. Ralph Bunche did the same thing, went to UN or whatever. You got African delegations walking out of when he's speaking to the UN. Getting up, walking out. They're not even paying him any attention. Why? Because he's talking about black people. Which everybody knows they don't have any rights because black people are shadow wards of the state, wards of the crown, wards of whoever they agree to be classified by. Right? So as soon as you hear them start talking about licenses and get licenses and Noble Drew Ali said, and then they're going to refer to this writing, remember that even though this writing is not dated, Noble Drew Ali died in 1929. So anything that he said, anything that he did, any type of arrangement that he had with the people that were saying that they were government, they were a republic. They weren't democracy. And then by 1933, democracy took over when they got the New Deal with Franklin D. Roosevelt, all them people. Then they started bringing in the fiat dollars and they took all the gold out of circulation, went around to people's house, knocked their door. You guys got any gold or whatever? We're going to give you this paper money. You give us the gold or whatever. People gave up their gold for paper. Willingly.
Right now they're still doing it.
Still doing it. You got Oliver telling people,
Oh, yeah.
I give you fiat, give me your gold or whatever. And people run in there to go give their gold up to get some paper dollars under the guise that the paper's the real money and, you know, this is just some trinkets of whatever like that. Same perspective that the Indians had, why they gave up all their stuff that they inherited from us. That they didn't have any jurisdiction to give up anything or whatever like that. They were out of order for doing that. Right? Because they know that they came over here Bering Strait or whatever like that and they're late. They're not the Olmecs. We are. This is really our land or whatever. So all those treaties that you hear the natives talk about, oh yeah, you know, the European violated the treaties and then they go march, they go down to Parliament and they want to stand out there, lay down the railway tracks or whatever for rights and all that stuff. Those treaties are BS that they wrote. They know that those treaties were BS that they wrote. But nobody else knows because everybody thinks that people who look like us, Negro, black, colored people, came over here on Africa on a slave ship or whatever like that, when that's not really how it went. Right? Wanted to also put on the record this madness again going on with Black Lives Matter down at police headquarters now. Past week or something like that, they've been out there camping out, talking about, you know, yeah, somebody's going to respect their rights or whatever. And then yesterday, was either yesterday or the day before, the quote-unquote Sikh community went down to lend their support, you know, for the Black Lives Matter stuff, had their signs and all that stuff, you know, marching, picketing or whatever. But it's real interesting that the Sikhs said Sikhs for Black Lives Matter, not brown people for Black Lives Matter. How come everybody who goes down there that doesn't look like black people don't call themselves whatever color that they are? They identify themselves by their national origin or whatever. Yeah, just give it to yeah. Right? They recognize themselves. You all more?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, yo.
It's on, man.
Peace, more.
Peace.
Right? They recognize themselves by their national name, their origin of their ancient foremothers and forefathers, and they let Negroes, blacks, keep doing their Negro black BS. They don't go there and school them that, you guys aren't really black people or whatever like that. There's people in our country, as far as Sikhs or whatever, that are darker than you guys that don't call themselves black. But then again, because of the contracts that they have to come over here, because if we go check the Sikh community, they can shut down university to go have their parade or whatever. They can shut down Mississauga to go have their parade. They're gonna have the mayor come out, give them a little orange stuff put on their head or whatever, have mayor and whoever parading around with them, you know what I mean? Which, is really just, we paid you, we voted for you or whatever like that. Now you have to show support for our stuff because, we showed you support. They know that anybody from any of the North African countries, East, so-called East Indian countries, all those people know that when they come over here and you ask them, let me see your passport, it says that they're white on it. It doesn't say that they're, national or whatever. It says that they're white people. But they look like us though. They have our complexion, but they're classified as white people on their passport. And if you ask them and you're not, a national, they're not going to give up what's going on. Which is why the Sikh, just go check it out online. You see the Sikhs down there. But the Sikhs are down there, they got their turban on. They're not playing around with baseball hat and stuff like that, toques and stuff like that, playing Negro. Because some Negroes marching. They're going down there, their national stuff, so if anything kicks off, police know, oh, those guys aren't down with it. Oh, those guys aren't down with it. Oh, those guys have not, oh, those guys are whatever like that. And they would not deal with them how they're going to deal with the Negroes, guaranteed. And they got a little bit of time left, you know what I mean? But again, they have their black police chief now. So their concept is, we have a black police chief. We're going to go down there and stand up to the black police chief, who supposed to be on our side and supposed to listen to everything that we say, because we're all black people and all that stuff.
Black president.
Oh yeah, they got black president too, so that they got the double, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? They got double now, even though nothing's happening for them over there, right? Nothing's going on for them over there where the black president guy is, right? And like if you've been watching the new Naji L channel, with all the classes that Brother Taj been doing, you realize that there's all these people that are mad, pissed off or whatever like that, because their claim is that Obama's not doing his job. How come Obama's not doing his job? Obama's supposed to be doing this, doing that. Every time we see him, he's playing golf or whatever. He's parading all over the place. How come he's parading all over the place?
Doing his job.
Because he has no job. Because the Pope already came and dissolved all those people when Pope came here in September or whatever. Dissolved them completely. No bar association could do anything around here. Nobody who claims that they're government or pretend to be government has no power. Anything that has to do with democracy is dissolved right now. But because of the people's ignorance, the stuff is still going on. When the real purpose of us proclaiming our nationality is for us to have our nationality and just, tuck it away and just wait for this thing to crash out here. Just wait for it to crash, because it's going to crash. But it's still alive, it's still going on, because people want to go and picket and march in front of police headquarters talking about they're black people, which means that if they are black people, they're really saying that they're pale people, right? And then if they're pale people, then that means they're giving power to the democracy order because that was founded by pale people. And they're really standing up for, they're really saying pale lives matter. Right? Because again, if you check the record, when all the shootings were going on, the Chinese didn't come out and say yellow people for Black Lives Matter. The natives didn't say red people for Black Lives Matter. The Hindustanis didn't say brown people for Black Lives Matter. The Spanish-speaking people and Spanish-speaking people for Black Lives Matter. Everybody identifies themselves as their free national name, whatever country they come from, whatever nationality that they have. And all the Negroes are out there still calling themselves black, even though there's all these people around them that don't identify themselves as color or continents. And they continue to think that they're not the ones that are keeping this B system in power that they're complaining about. They're complaining about the B system, but they're the ones that's keeping the B system in power. Because they don't want to correct their errors that they know that they've made. So they know that they made errors, but they don't want to correct those. They want people to accept them and their errors that they didn't correct, and think that society is going to respect their position when they don't want to take responsibility.
I noticed when I talk to my people, they all say yes, we have slave name. They all said yes, we have slave name.
Yeah.
Not doing nothing about it.
Nothing about it.
Nothing.
Right?
So far they're conscious of, they're not
Very
they're
conscious.
not in their right place,
But, you know what I mean? You can lead a horse to water. You're not hanging on no horse neck to get the horse to drink anything. All you could do is lead the horse to water. When the horse is thirsty, it'll drink. But unlike the horse, our people need pain before they drink. They need to get billy clubbed a couple more times. They need some of these people to lose their life a couple more times before they say, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to consider what, Moore's been telling people for the past, 100 years. Right? Because it's that, just like yourself, you know what I mean? Like you're an elder, right? That you see this and realize that, okay, hold on a second, like something's wrong or whatever. Okay, when I think back to my whatever like that, my grandma, you know what I mean? She never talked about Africa and go with slave ships and stuff like that. You know what I mean? She never thought about, she knew, just go over there, pick that bush, boil it or whatever like that, drink that and you're good.
Okay.
That's indigenous culture. That's not something she got from Africa and then brought over here or whatever. That's something that she had to know from here.
Oh yeah. My grandmother she was the one that delivered all the baby in our village.
Right? How she know that? She learned that from Africa?
All the babies.
Right? So today was our Q&A day. So there was some that got emailed, but if anybody else, we'll just put it out. If anybody got questions, you can throw those up right now, and then we're gonna go to the email and deal with whatever questions we got there.
Yeah, and I had a question about this is the universal law. Is that the international law? Is that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the UN came out of League of Nations. So when let's say 1920s or something like that, 1930s, there was League of Nations, and then the League of Nations turned into the UN, but the principles went to the UN as well. So it wasn't really a dissolve everything, and then now the UN do their own thing or whatever. Peacekeepers, blue helmet, go and rape people's land or whatever like that. right? The principles of it came with it. So when they set up and realized that, you know, there's all these atrocities going on to these so-called people classified as black or whatever like that, then they made up these UN declarations of rights and all that, and then based on our suffering, then they spread that out to everybody else, because they know that we're the first of everything. We're the originators of the good stuff and the negative stuff, right? So in those declarations, all of them, from rights of a child to rights of indigenous people to human rights, the international community was sending a message to the so-called Negro, black, colored people of North America that you have a right to a nationality. Right? That was the theme of the UN declarations. That was the real message that was trying to be relayed to the people who are getting abused or getting their human rights violated. That you can't fight for human rights if you don't have a nationality. So everybody's gonna come together, all the nations or whatever like that, and we're gonna put it out there to let them know that you have a nationality, you can go. And then what do? They don't proclaim that they have nationality. They still say that they're black, Negro, African, whatever, came over here on slave ships, blah, blah, whatever. And everybody else around the world has nationality. And the only people who don't know are the people in North America and the islands. That's the only people who play the game that they don't know what their nationality is. Well, I don't know what our name is because we're a slave. We got slave names or whatever like that. So we're gonna call ourselves X because we don't know what our name is. But No Jolly came 1913, and in Chicago, Oscar the Priest became the first quote unquote black congressman of Chicago, and he told those people that you guys need to start studying international law and stuff like that. It has to be something that's taught to everybody. Bill Clinton came out, put out executive order. Make sure that, you know, all the black whatever teaches people, all the leaders, make sure that they teach people international law so that they know what international law is or whatever. You go around, pull somebody from out the street, ask them what that is, they don't know. Ask them about what's UN declarations? Something to do with rights like that, and they don't know. Yes, other.
Later, you see, I cut your this to the middle.
It's all good. It's all good.
I want to find out. Now, let's start in the U.S. Those slaves that were shipped, you know, to that part of the continent. Before they were shipped, there were black people there who were, from what you're saying, who were original.
Already here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look up if you look that up, right, you'll see that these people don't look like what they say are the natives right now. And these people have a timeline of 50,000 years over here on this side. All right. These people are to the Americas. So when they say they brought people over here on slave ships, right? Excuse the spelling. The Mississippi River is the waterway that they took the slaves on. It wasn't the ocean. Because these people lived all up and down the Mississippi River. So when they had their ships going through this area, what did they say? What did Christopher Columbus say when he came here? What are these people? These people we'll call these people Indian, because they look like the same people that we saw when we were in India. Right? In the history, in the story, you can, when you do your research on the percentage of slaves brought to North America, right? The percentage is this much. Majority of them are in Brazil and all that. They're not even this far up, right? Compared to everywhere else, as far as North America, Central America, South America, majority of the slaves that they say they brought over here on slave ships are in the southern United States of America, not the northern. Right? And then this is why when you hear about so-called slavery, and then they say when the slaves wanted to rebel or whatever like that, where'd they go? North. Why'd they go north? Because that's where they're from. How they know to follow the North Star if they're not from over here? How did they know that we can follow the rivers and go north where it's free over there, if they weren't here already and had knowledge of this you know what I mean, journey, that they can go from the south to the north? Because the story of slavery is that in the south. The story of slavery is that down there is where it happened. South where? Because this is north. When they talk about all the slave states, that's north. That's not south. People's perspective of south is, you know, warped. It's south, but it's not. It's not Brazil or whatever.
It's south, but still in the north.
But it's still in the north. So when as soon as they start saying, go back to Africa, you're not from here and whatever like that. No, we're in Africa or over here. That's why there's Egypt here. That's why when you go to Grand Canyon, they got stuff taped off, army and stuff like that patrolling the Grand Canyon because they got Egyptian stuff in there. But I thought Egypt was over there. Why is there a Washington monument that looks like something from over there, over here? Why is there pyramids over here bigger than the pyramids in Egypt? Why is the names of places over here the same as it is over there? Because over here and over there is the same place. And they call the Atlantic Ocean for the metaphysical people or the higher thinking people. They call the Atlantic Ocean cosmic mirror, because it's the same on both sides. There's no different. If you stand on the shores of North America and look over there, and if you go over there and look over here, you're going to see the same stuff. That's why they got this I can't remember where it is, but there's a African country where they built this big statue or whatever, right? With a man and a woman and a child, and then he's pointing over here. Why are you pointing over here for? What's over here that they're gonna take millions of dollars to build this big statue? When you look at the people look like this compared to the statue. I think it's Senegal. Yeah, I think it's in Senegal. Huge statue, and he's pointing over here. Why are they pointing over here for?
They try to like warp it too to make it seem like it's something else.
Right? The reality is that, you know, that's probably somebody who this was their home. And the real slavery went that way.
Yeah, backwards.
Because really it's a mental enslavement. It's not chains and, you know what I mean, what the shuffle walk and all that. It's really a mental enslavement.
If the Black Lives Matter movement decided to identify themselves as Aboriginal natives, would you be willing to support them?
Hell yeah. Cause now we're fighting for now we're saying something now.
We're talking.
Now we're talking. Yeah, let's go march and picket and all that stuff now. Yeah. Because now you have international community backing you, right? So that's everybody now, and then you got the Aboriginal people, because as soon as they, you know, it's just like when Brother Lanre, he goes to powwows and stuff like that, right? He goes to powwows, and natives are like, oh yeah, thanks for coming. Why they all so happy, whatever, that he's coming from going to powwow? Because they know that he knows that he's not a black guy. He doesn't have to go to all this other black stuff. He's recognizing that that's what his culture is. Feathers and stuff like that. They got chiefs giving him feathers, eagle feathers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, they don't do that for everybody. That's not something that they do like everybody gets that because you went to the power, they're gonna give you eagle feather. That's a custom that's a specialty custom that they do. You know what I mean? Right? And then also too with the slave story, we have to look at things like the amount of slaves that they say they brought over here. What was the time frame of the trip from over there to over here? Right? So even if we say we'll be lenient, we'll say okay, let's say it took a month. Right? So you need a month's worth of water for all those slaves plus the crew, food, whatever like that. Right? That boat's sinking before it even gets halfway over here. Right? They're not drinking seawater. Right? You got defecation, urine, and all that stuff. You can't even walk down some of these stairwells or whatever without holding your breath. You're talking about you're on a ship for a month, people urinating and all that stuff, defecating on themselves, and everybody's just cool with it.
Because if they're in shackles, they can't even go anywhere. So you gotta do it right there.
Do it right there. Right, and then they have everybody packed like sardines, so everybody's getting it on everybody. Right? And then these guys just come off the slave ship and they just go into slavery. Nobody spray them down, nothing like that. No spray down.
And the biggest thing to do with that story to enlighten the fraud is that the heart pumps the fluids in the body, but it only pumps 70% of the fluid, and the next 30% of the fluid is moved through movement. So you have to actually move. That's why you have people who are bedridden in the hospital, and every couple hours the nurse got to come in and turn them over, right? Because the heart can only pump 70% of the blood. So they said these people were in the boat, shackled, laid down for an entire month, and didn't move. They died. They died in less than a week.
Yeah.
If you don't move, if you don't have some form of movement in anything over 7 days, you'll die. So you're telling me they were rolling these guys over one by one every day?
Right.
Went down there and did a rollover. No, come on, it's fraud.
Without the gloves, because remember everybody got this on them
shit
and stuff like that,
everywhere.
right? So you gotta freaking,
No, it doesn't happen. It's impossible. The way they told the story is impossible for it to happen.
And again too, what language do they speak? Because that's what I used to ask back home. Why they said we are from Africa? How come if we come with some African word or some African name down to Jamaica, how come Not even one grandmother never tell one grandson so that grandson could tell the other kid and the other one and the other children.
Yeah, the
whatever,
language. Yeah.
and leave some of it. How come we grow up with, we have our patois in Jamaica,
Yeah.
we come to Canada, we speak the patois with our English language,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
We never lose it.
Yeah.
So where is that African thing we brought?
Right, that we were
Where is
supposed to
it?
have.
But listen, you know what's even more crazy to
Where
add on
is
to
it?
that?
Not even one word of it.
They'll say, oh, listen, we have, well, a lot of these customs were brought from Africa, but yesterday they forgot how to speak African.
Yeah, how could
Or
we-
any country's language,
And
they
again
forgot to
to-
speak it, but they kept
again
the
to-
custom. How did they do that?
Yeah.
And again, they
Hold
say
on.
they didn't teach them. They're not allowed to use a book. You're a slave. You cannot
Right.
read.
So how the hell they remember it?
Right.
And then they say they mix up all the slaves, so they got some from Ghana, they got some from Angola, they mixed them so they couldn't communicate.
Yeah.
But yet still the culture survived.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense, it's impossible. If the language didn't survive, how did the culture
How
survive?
the culture survive.
Fraud.
Right. Any more questions?
Yeah, but this slavery was how 200 years?
Yeah. They say 400. You know, and don't think that we're dismissing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people were brought here.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. We're just saying how they talk about it. There ain't no way it went on like that.
They didn't bring millions.
And then in that 400-year gap, you have 250 to 300 years of Europeans being transported by us that they never talk about.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
They never talk about that part. They omit that completely. They don't even mention that Europeans were slaves to us.
You know what's even
Like that we were shipping them like how they say they shipped us, that's how we ship Europeans.
You know what's more crazy too is the fact that, listen, they had to, for them to bring the number of slaves that they say they brought, they had to have thousands of boats.
Like thousands.
And that doesn't even include the boats that they came on.
Yeah.
That doesn't include the boats that they came on. You know what I mean? But yet you can't find these boats.
Yep.
Can't find one of them.
One boat.
Can't
Well,
find
there's
one.
one over by Niagara Falls. I just passed it today.
That's the other one.
Right? No boats, no evidence. But they have all types of evidence of everything else from slavery. They got shackles, they got paper that survived 400 years.
I actually have a picture of there's a picture of a bunch of Germans coming over here, migrating over here,
Yeah.
and they're all trying to, like, you know, when the boats at dock and the ropes, there's ropes and stuff.
Yeah,
They're
climbing on the ropes and all that.
And the boats overpacked.
Oh no, that was when that was when the war was going on in Germany,
Yeah.
in basically Europe, and they were running to go to North Africa, and like the boat was overflowing, and like it was like
Like,
not boats though,
yeah.
but like people were climbing up the
People were
ropes after like
crazy.
the boats leaving, they're climbing on the
Yeah.
ropes to go to North Africa. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was in World War II them times.
Yeah.
And why is it that nobody speaks about the German connection to the Spaniard and the whole entire slavery of Northern America? That everything is German and they're the Catholic. And people usually Catholic associate with Italy, not realizing that the Germans are the ones, and majority of the slaves we took them to the Middle East. That's how you have Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, all these places turning albinos. And that's where we took them.
Yep.
Makes sense. How'd they get there, right?
Well, that's how the whole Northern Africa, I consider Northern Africa also Middle East. That's where all the slaves were taken. No wonder they don't want to see us down there no more. Yeah, so to go down the Middle East, it's unless you speak about the northern jihads, that's where the white slavery.
So the one question that we had is with regard to court processes, sending out a vermin of jurisdiction. Oh yeah, just check a vermin in there. A vermin of jurisdiction to the acting judge and the acting attorney. Do I do 3 averment default letters to each writ? And do I wait 30 days? Do I send another default judgment to the acting attorney again? And now that I have the acting judge's oath. So the process, when you have, first of all the information with regard to matters in the tribunals, courts, or whatever like that, can be found on the Writs of Freedom page. On rvbaypublications.com. The writs on the Writs of Freedom page are documents that or affidavits that are used for different, court situations, things like that, that have been used by people and worked already, right? So they're put up there in order for people to have access to, more so study material, because when you study these documents, there's information in them that would reveal things to you to make you better citizens in knowing how to deal with the so-called democracy order out there. One of the highlights that we want to put on the record is that you better have a nationality before you start using these stuff that's here. Don't think that you're a black guy and you're going to use these stuff and then it's going to work when you go to court or whatever, right? It's not going to work. Nationality is the order of the day. If you have no nationality, you have no rights, which means that your ability to stand up for rights is not going to work for you. Second thing is that the pen is mightier than the sword. So when we, and then to also touch on this, the pen is mightier than the sword because when you use your pen, your spelling, which is magic, right? When you use your pen, you're spelling, and when you're spelling, that's magic. That's not just putting words on the paper. So when you have a nationality and you start exercising your pen as your sword, your magic becomes better. The more that you do it, the better your magic becomes, just like anything else. The more shots that Michael Jordan took, the better he could make shots when time for the game to end, right? So the Writs of Freedom page has all the writs on it. The writ that the brother was talking about is the averment writ. Now there's also writ of discovery. Quo warranto. Default judgment. So the one that the brother was talking about in the email was this one. Averment.
Averment. In the pleading, a positive statement of facts in opposition to an argument or inference. Averments were formerly said to be general and particular, but only particular averments are found in modern pleadings. And then it has the definition of imperial, intermaterial, negative, averment, particular, averments, and unnecessary averment.
All right. So when there's a controversy, right? When there's a controversy, the defendant and the plaintiff, majority of the time, they go out and then they get lawyer, attorney, whatever like that, somebody to quote unquote defend their position. And then they'll say, okay, well, retainer 5,000 or whatever like that, and then, we'll handle all your stuff. And then the so-called attorney is gonna use do their magic, and they're gonna write one of these in order to submit to the court on behalf of whoever they're defending. When you have a nationality, you omit these people. So now you're the one that has to take the position of being your own, what we would say consul, right? And then they would say, counsel, and then we say consul. So you, with your nationality, you become self-consul, where these people don't apply, and then you do these for yourself. So one of the things that you would do is that you would write a writ of discovery, and the writ of discovery is basically you demanding from them certain things before the court session starts. So multitude of things that you can ask them for, right? Main thing is that you want to know, are they delegated authorities to hear the matter at hand? And it's no different than when they stop you out there and they say, let me see a license, to prove that you are actually, qualified to be behind the wheel. Well, you writing a writ of discovery is asking them for their license to prove that they're qualified to sit behind the bench or to be one of these people, right? To have this building that they would say is a court, right? And then you're asking these questions because in the state that we're in right now, being that it's a democracy, a lot of these individuals are imposters. They're not really who they say they are. So you have a right, with a nationality, you have a right to question them on who they really are. So when we look at Black Lives Matter, all those people, instead of going out there marching, picketing, whatever like that, all those people should have came together and wrote a writ of discovery
100%.
and asked that police chief if he's really that. Because if they had a little bit of study in civics, they would know that the police chief is selected by the mayor. He doesn't go apply for that job or whatever. Mayor appoints that guy to be police chief. That's why police chief and mayor is always tight. That's why anything that goes on in the quote-unquote municipality, the mayor and the police chief always, or they're going to be button heads, right? Which is why certain people leave office early. Which is why certain people, all of a sudden, they get cancer.
Crazy. And die out of nowhere.
And die out of nowhere, just like that. Because they were taking the quote-unquote mayoral position as, a really de jure office and looking out for the rights of the people. Right? So the brother's question was with regard to the averment writ. Right? Which averment again? You lost it?
I don't know what jurisdiction is.
When these are things that are your right to get an answer to from them. They can't deny you the right to get an answer. Most of the time, they deny the right to get an answer because the places that we go to aren't this. The places that we go to are administrative tribunals. That's why, regardless of whichever one that you choose to go to, as soon as you push the door and then you look over there or look over there, they're going to have a big plaque that says administrative building, not courthouse. which is to let you know that they're not a court. Which is to let you know that all they're about is getting finances. They don't care about law, they don't care about rights, they don't care about anything. All they care about is, can you pay if you go up in there? That's why majority of stuff people go in there, it's about paying. That they even set it up where you don't even have to go to court. You can just go in that line right there, the long line with the thing, and pick your number and all that stuff, and you can just pay and they'll get rid of your stuff. Or you can check the back, fight it, and then go deal with them on this level. But then, majority of people, when they go deal with them on this level, they go get one of these guys, which means that they pay. They pay. Now you're paying twice, because this guy's going to railroad you, because he works for the court, and he's going to make sure that after you pay your $5,000 to him, you pay those guys something. It might not be the full thing that's on the ticket or whatever, but you're going to pay something. Rarely do you hire these people and they get off, unless it's like some high profile thing. Right? A vermin.
A vermin. In a pleading, a positive statement of facts in opposition to an argument or inference.
All right, so a positive statement of facts. So your positive statement of facts is to put your nationality on the record, right? Because your nationality is a fact. And it's a positive statement that you're making to those individuals that are claiming you to be something else. Because majority of the time, the idea is to get you to not consider this. You don't consider this at all. And then you go in there with a name that's not your name. And then once you go in there with a name that's not your name, just like what the brother was saying, your slave name, then you're admitting that they actually have jurisdiction. And then the first thing that must be established in any court, anywhere that you go to, is status. Right? So it's status, and then jurisdiction. So if the status, right, if the fact isn't presented, then this is waived, and then they automatically go to this. And then once they go to this, without this, then you're pretty much in den of wolves, and however it turns out is how it turns out. Because this is what they want. They want this to not be considered, so that they can claim this. And then this is going to be assumed. So they're going to assume that they have this because you waived this, because you didn't have a nationality, you hired some lawyer or whatever like that, and none of this stuff was requested by their so-called guy who works for them about do they have the delegated authority. And then they just railroad people every day, all day. You can even, cause court's free. Just go down to Old City Hall one day and just go room to room and just sit there and just watch how they deal with our people and watch how they deal with people no English interpreter. And then they just bang the stuff till that guy come back in a month or whatever. Then our person comes up and then they get railroaded. And then next guy comes up, no English interpreter. And then they bang the stuff, send that guy, come back in 30 days. And then our person goes up, railroad, jail time. The next guy comes up, no English, lawyer, bang the stuff. That's how they deal with it. Every day, all day. All day. Even the lawyer is going to come up and say, sorry, well, my client doesn't speak English. Could we get 30 days extra time, whatever like that? Bang the stuff, give this guy 30 extra days, and that's that. But our people who don't have a status, right, because they think that they're Negro, black, colored, this is waived. So they're in the assumed jurisdiction, and once jurisdiction is assumed, then then it's slavery all over again. Right? So what you do is, you know, whatever the controversy is, immediately, this is why these things are on the website, already done, already typed up. All you're doing is changing the court date, changing the court name, changing the name on it, changing who it's addressed to, whatever like that, but the body of it, the theme of it is the same. So immediately of you getting into some type of controversy, you go here, click the stuff. Remember, you have to have nationality again, just putting it out there. You know what I mean? No black guys gonna say, well, you guys said to go on there, and no, the first thing we said, you have to have nationality. If you have no nationality, don't go here and download anything, try anything. It's not working. Immediately they'll stop your thing. Within 3 days of the controversy, you should already have something here, except this one. You should already have one of these or all of these sent out to whoever it is that is bringing controversy against you. Right? In this, you're going to state how many days you want a response from them in. So average people say 30 days. Right? So 30 days goes by, then they're in default because they didn't answer, which majority of times, once you go at them with this stuff, they already know where you're coming from, right? They already know how this is going to go, but they have to go through with their, you know, nigger or whatever. So they're going to pretend that this doesn't mean nothing, you can't do that, you're not whatever, you're not qualified to practice law or whatever like that, where's your bar card or whatever. Pay them no mind. You do what you're supposed to do. What they do is up to them. What you do is up to you. So once you send one of these, or all of these, send to them, 30 days goes by, they're in default, then you send them a default judgment. And then you wait 30 days again, because majority of time, you know, if there's a controversy, it's not happening for 6 months, a year, or whatever. So you have this time. So 30 days, they're in default, then you send them a default judgment. 30 days again, you send them a second default judgment. Because all this time, they didn't answer. And remember that when you make requests of them sending you something not relative to any of this isn't a response. So for example, you'll send them this, and then they'll send you something back. We received your letter. Man, we don't recognize this because we talked to our lawyer department, and our lawyer department said they don't know what this is and whatever like that. Okay, cool. You know, time is going right now. If they don't answer, they have to answer whatever you ask them. So if you ask them, are you guys delegated authorities? And they don't send you, yes we are. Here's our delegated authority number, 111, whatever like that. It's filed down at City Hall, book number 7, page 5, whatever like that. They didn't answer you. So they're in default. Default, 30 days again. And then third default, right? At that time, everything that you sent and all your defaults are now your evidence for your case, right? Whatever the controversy is. In situations like what Brother Supreme dealt with, Rennie dealt with Rennie's situation, they went through the process or whatever of the whole court trial or whatever. Supreme's case, they even let him go up there and talk. As soon as he went up there, start dismiss, and then that's it. Didn't even get to fight, didn't even get to say anything, didn't even get to bring up none of this stuff or whatever like that. But, you know, this is still a paper trail that you just keep now, put it somewhere safe, you know, safe or something like that, right? And just hold that, because eventually this system out here is going to fall, and when time comes to for lack of a better word, get them back for the violations of your rights or whatever, you have your stuff that you can use to sue them. Because they might pretend that they don't know what this is out here, but international community knows what this is. When it's time to go to tribunals, higher tribunals that deal with violation of rights and stuff like that, and you can show that, well, we asked them for their delegated authority that they didn't prove. We asked them for, their license to practice whatever it is that they're practicing. They didn't present anything. Then, right? So you want to, now in certain situations, they will fast track you so you don't get to do the 30, right? They'll make sure that as soon as they get this and you put 30 days, in 4 days they're sending you a response or whatever. Or they move your court date up or whatever like that, right? So, same process, you know what I mean? Don't panic, because nationality is really what your safeguard is. The fact that you have a nationality and they don't, because they're claiming that they're judge or whatever, that's not no nationality. They claim that they're attorney of something, that's not nationality. You need to know what their origin is, what's their name. And if you get names from them, most of the time, when you get a name from them, it's probably going to be some European name, which means that they're diverse to yourself. And once they're diverse, then that means they don't have jurisdiction, because you have jury of your own peers. Everybody who's dealing with the matter is supposed to be of your lineage. It's not supposed to be foreigners that are adjudicating against you. That's why most of the if you check, maybe even recently, when you go to some of the court things, you would see that you might have a situation. You go to court, and then they adjourn, and then the next court day is a different judge than the first judge that you dealt with, because they're playing that. You know what I mean? Well, he might argue diversity, so let's get somebody who looks like him up there. But then if they look like you, but their name's Smith, then they're not really, you know what I mean? You're a peer. You know what I mean? That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, so, I mean, all in all, it's just to remember that nationality is free. And people, and it's just to understand that freedom is, freedom of what you do, and freedom of your economy. When they say something is free, it doesn't cost anything. It'll only cost you your time. So there's no dollar sign on you dealing with your issues, and that's the freedom from a financial sense.
Any questions regarding this? Everybody good? Right. So and again, if you go to the Writs of Freedom page, and don't wait till you get into a situation to go on the Writs of Freedom page. Go there now, so you can start, familiarizing yourself with this new found wealth.
I wanted to
information.
ask you, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
In regards to our status, and this is what the averment of jurisdiction is really about. It's for us to come back into thinking. For instance, if someone walks up to you on the street and says to you, "You owe me $20," what's the first question you're going to ask that person?
Who are you?
Why?
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? But for some reason, a lot of us, used to, but walk into these buildings, never met the person before, don't know who they are, never heard about them, whatever. They say $30, and you say, okay. You've never met them before. So what happens to our thinking once we walk into that building? obviously it's training. We've been trained that when an authority approaches you and they ask you for something, give it up. Because that's what the affirmative jurisdiction is really all about. It's for you to get into your thinking of, if someone is asking you something, you have to start asking questions. Because we did it when we were a child. But for some reason, as soon as we became adults, we just forgot. Conveniently.
Islam to that.
See what I'm saying?
That's
So-
the mind frame I have too. Islam to that.
Yeah.
When
So
every
the
time I go
affirmative
anywhere-
jurisdiction is not to be belligerent or to be rude or to be, no, none of that shit. It's for you to be on point with questions. You have to ask questions.
How about if you're born with fear from the womb
Oh.
or not?
Then you got problems.
And nationality, the word is basically connected to a womb, to a mother. It's
Right.
like you're motherless.
Natal.
And if you're motherless, there's no inheritance for you.
Right.
And how do you become an orphan? That means you don't have a mother. So the whole immigration, refugee, and the whole thing is like someone who has no mother.
Yep.
They are not connected to the land.
So
And
so
who
then
do
a
we know that don't
claim's
have a mother?
then a claim's made on you.
Well, that's what it is, because they don't have a mother. So they switch the whole thing and made us a motherless.
Made your mother made you a mother.
And it's ironic that the brother just left. I don't know where he went, but he was asking, going back to the slavery thing, was if you have if you don't have a connection to a mother from the Americas, then you can never be an American. Until
Actually,
you join the family.
I don't know
So
what
if you haven't
I
joined the family, like you said, you're motherless. And if you're
Well-
motherless, it doesn't matter if your father is from Africa, a slave to do labor in the field, and then.
But I have taught him too. That was actually, but this is the first time, and I brought him.
Well, I think
So yeah,
the brother is here, yeah.
basically, I didn't want to put it to a stop, so I allowed it because they need to know and learn.
Yeah, right.
So, no.
But we're just saying that it's your inheritance is from your mother. Your nationality is from your mother.
But
So if some males are brought to a place to do work, even in a small number, you cannot use that as a connection, as a status diplomatically or politically. People pretend and say, oh, your last name is such and such, then your father, that was his name. That's for commerce. That's not for nationality. Nationality, your security amongst the nations and the family of the planet. They have to know where is your mother from. If they don't know where your mother is, then you don't know where you were actually born.
And to add up to that, majority of us actually were born talking about your daddy's last name, because
Right.
you can't mention a woman.
Yeah.
So now if you're coming from a place where, and it's connected with slavery, because there you're still in the mother position
Right.
and putting a man who's irresponsible.
Watch your back.
And,
And then also that's why with the that's why in the papal doctrines that they have Holy Ghost.
yes,
Get rid of the mother.
absolutely.
And why everybody says man gods.
Well, this is
Males are their god.
but then they talk about God having a mother at the same time.
Right.
So it's contradiction.
Right.
And if Jesus had a mother, and he's your God, and you don't know nothing about the womb of the woman, then I don't know what kind of God.
That's the original part of the story. That is
And
the main,
nationality.
Yeah.
the real
connects-
part. You know?
The word itself sounds like a female.
Yeah.
Nativity, because it's amazing sometimes when you look at things.
And,
So
and,
we're
it's,
motherless, basically.
and it's something that we know that things are matriarchal, because every you ask anybody, their car is a woman.
Absolutely. The corporation is not a shit.
Right? All their property or whatever is related to women. All the countries are women. Africa's mother, nature's mother.
Everything.
Everything's feminine, but you know, it's like we're saying, the training that they've been putting us under for so long has now warped our reality, and then we're living in the warped reality thinking that that's actually everything's right, everything's how it's supposed to be, when that's not really how it is.
Yeah, but what you said,
Sorry.
I was reading this novel, Da Vinci Code.
Oh yeah.
I discovered a lot of things
Yeah.
that is related to us.
Yeah.
It's like most of the things written there is right.
Yeah. And they went as far even to make a movie about it. Movies about it. Just to stress the point about the concept of matriarchy over patriarchy. About feminine powers versus masculine powers. And that masculine powers always lose, because it's nothing personal against masculine or whatever.
That's the black
Just-
stuff. That goes to the Black Lives Matter thing. That's a group of people saying, we don't care who our mother is, but if you want to know if our father, if you ask us, yeah, we'll tell you, Smith, John, Johnson, whatever, well, we want our rights. But we don't care who our mother is. We're not interested. We don't care if, there was one slave male who was brought, but where did we come from? We don't know. Because the majority of slaves aren't going to be women that you put on a boat. Even
Right.
who are brought, you're not going to put women on a boat and say, well, yeah, we'll make them pick the field. In the 1700s, when most of those guys were thinking, well, men can work harder anyway. And physiologically, yeah, there's, so it's the whole concept of a people on the world stage saying, we don't care.
We don't care who our mother is. And then,
It's a serious thing.
everybody knows that these people that have this concept are quote unquote coming out of, Christian background.
A bastard.
So they know, honor thy father and mother and your days will be numbered and whatever like that. Okay, so if you only honor your father, you don't honor your mother, then, long days on the earth land for you.
Which, by the way, is the first commandment with a promise, which is the caveat to that.
Right?
And I think you have to be a mother to be a bastard. It's not a father.
Yeah.
And usually they make it like when you don't have a father, they call the child a
Right.
bastard. But it's the other way
It's
around.
the other way, yeah. Yeah. And all of it is to push the patriarchal
And the
Roman
same bastard is
concept.
ruling us. Like,
Yep.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
I had 2 points that tie into what we're saying right now. The first point is with the Christian religion, how they say the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Ties into the fact of how the hell did you get the Son without the woman? How's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost? Well, obviously means the Holy Ghost wasn't there before, and it was obviously the woman, so the Father, the Son, and the woman. So they took out the woman and put Holy Ghost. So now you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But they don't say Mary's the Holy Ghost. They just said Mary was the mother of Jesus. But Jesus is the Son. But they don't put her in that position, which is retarded and confusing when you look at it in that sense. The next sense is, whenever you look at the images of these so-called slaves being brought here, it's a boat full of men.
Yeah.
Boat full of men. We already know men can't reproduce on their own. We know that our nationality, where we come from, comes from the woman. So obviously, if we're going to use a slave story and say, it was true, then those male slaves must have had to breed with women that were already here. Which that in itself would say that, we're American. Because our nationality comes from our mother. Because, like I said, you look at the slave ship, it was a boat packed full of men.
Yeah.
There was no woman, and if there was a woman, it's a very slight amount of women, right? But most of the images is a boat full of men. So they obviously had to have children with women who were already here to continue on the so-called generation of slaves, which would then make any descendant
Of a slave.
of the slave
Really
originally American.
Islam, and then that's why later on they brought in the laws in certain southern states where the 1/8 law, which if you have 1/8 native blood and no Negro blood, you can be a native. But if you have 1/16 Negro blood and the rest of you quote unquote native, then you're black, you're Negro.
And you could be enslaved.
To add to that, even the word holy is associated with the woman. In the Holy Ghost, there's no Holy Father.
Right.
So, and where is Holy of Holies? I don't see no man been.
When you start to dissect these things, it just
When you
starts
start-
popping out
when you
you.
start to
Hold on a
dissect
second,
it.
man.
Yep.
Something's going on here.
Yep. Wanted to know how we go about to research to get bond numbers for law firms and magistrates, judges, or a bank. There's a term blanket bond. So when we used to work collections, you had to be bonded because we're dealing with so much finance and it's not really our stuff, it's people's stuff or whatever like that. So we have to, make sure that as a collector, we're bonded. So if anything happens, we're protected. What they do today is that they have blanket bonds. So they would have, municipality, police department A, and they got 500 police under one blanket bond, instead of every individual officer being bonded, in order for them to, they say, expediency or, make it easier for us to protect or whatever. But this is really fraudulent because every individual is supposed to have their bonded, or every individual is supposed to have their bond filed on the record, that if anybody wants to sue them or whatever like that for violating them, you can get their bond number. You can get their bond number, make a claim against their bond number, and either they lose their job if they get too many of these complaints on this number, or you have the number to use to put in your suit when you go against those people. But they eliminated this concept and just have blanket bonds. So they have court justice, and then they say justice of the peace instead of judge. They say justice of the peace instead of judge, right? And because they're not quote unquote judge, they can use a blanket bond instead of that one judge being bonded. So they create all these different terms, phrases, or whatever like that, in order to skirt the law so they can do their corruption and then not be able to be held liable when you find out that they're corrupt and you want to go after them. But if you do want to do research on people's bond number or whatever like that, all that stuff is supposed to be freedom of information requests. That you just make the request, you got the name, where they work, put in a freedom of information request, and then you're supposed to be able to get that. Because again, being bonded is something that's supposed to be public record that anybody can find out. They're not supposed to be able to hide that information. But again, because we're dealing with occupation in our own land, right? Certain things, these people are going to make sure that they hide so that you don't have access to them. That's just what it is under occupation. Nothing personal, that's just what it is. And, the fact that they're doing that even shows more corruption that they're engaged in, that they're not doing things lawful, they're doing things legal. That's why they always say illegal and never unlawful. But if you say unlawful, then lawful has to be there. But if they say illegal, then they're letting you know that they're dealing with a subordinate of, you're dealing with a subordinate of de jure law and deal with legal. And then they usually put this on there, legalese. And then the legalese is where they get their ordinance, statutes, acts, etc. that they're gonna say is the law. And that's not really the law. That's just some individuals came together and then they made up some stuff and called that law.
So if you don't occupy yourself, they'll occupy you.
Yeah, simple as that. Simple as that. Got an email from if you haven't heard of or you haven't done any research from this individual. It's a good brother of our brother Professor Denham L, who's done some Skypes with us. Got an email from Brother Ishmael Bey. Brother Ishmael Bey, I would be addressing the erroneous claims of Brother Reggie, Shaka Amos, etc. concerning the Moors, and will be asking Moors I hold in high regard to assist me in media videos and interviews. Will you be able to assist in this endeavor? You already know the yes to that. So we'll keep Moors posted, and we'll contact you with the brother's contact when he's ready. When he's ready to get that kicked off. Anybody else have any questions?
Different question.
Sure, shoot it up. Doesn't matter.
No, just about this capital, where I come from, it's very hard for us to wear this capital. People have attained, achieved, and we give them title. And they wear this cap, the red and black, differentiates, what you are. So how come you got this cap?
This one?
Before you answer that question should be put out there for all the Reggies and the Cyanettas.
Just to put it on the record, Just to put it on the record, what's your background?
I'm Igbo from Nigeria.
From Nigeria, yeah. which is on the continent of so-called Africa.
Put that out there.
All right. So, in your country, right? There's people that are called Igbo. And those people wear these, right? and the people there that wear these are high-ranking people.
Achievers, yeah.
They're not like the common people. They're the people that are, right? Okay. So we wear it for the same reason. Because we are the high-ranking people of this side. Right? Same concept. The people who are, like what you would say, the chief, head of the community or whatever like that.
Oh,
achieve certain things in society.
Yeah.
What? Right. Yeah. Exact same concept. Right? Because remember, like we were saying earlier, Atlantic Ocean is a cosmic mirror. When we look at right? What do you want to just right? So you're over here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're over here. Yeah. If we take this and we put this right here,
it fits.
It fits right up in there, right? And then over here we have Baltimore, New York, Boston, right? North Carolina, Atlanta, etc. And then Toronto's not too far from the seaboard. So once we put this up in here, we realize that everybody on here, Morocco included, and then everybody on here have relative connection.
So there was kind of earthquake that separated that.
Exactly. Right? Because this was supposed to be all one. Right? Now if we do it like this, it's supposed to be one thing. But they did this purposely. That's why they stopped selling globes. They don't sell globes anymore. The circle on the stick and then you spin the. They only sell maps now.
Globes joined it together.
Because the globe was showing that everything was one. And then when you go over here, you see Alaska would connect to over here.
Russia.
Right? So it's all the same. It's all the same culture, which is what we've been telling people, especially our people, right? That you're gonna have people that make the statements that this. Oh, let me ask you this: where'd this come from over there? What's the origin of this in Nigeria?
Oh, it's from my area.
Like this, so this didn't come from Turkey or nothing like that.
No, they make these things.
No Europeans didn't make this and give them to them.
They make it.
They make them themselves in Nigeria.
They're just like
That's for all the black guys.
yeah,
out
all the
there.
guys that are talking smack.
All the black
them
guys.
Arabs and
Who say that they don't know
we
about
got
this?
colonized by some Turks and they
Right.
forced us to wear it. Just let a brother from the continent is telling y'all like they have that and they make it themselves and they didn't come from nobody.
But however, it's mainly the elders that know it.
Yeah.
The young don't.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that were born over here.
You know.
Was there any French background who was saying that? That it doesn't come from. Or it comes
No,
from-
it was just the black, the conscious black
I was
guys.
referring to him, he was saying they were forced. Like the individual, is he anywhere from a French speaking?
No, they're from over here, but they say they're from the continent.
Yeah, I'm saying
No,
from
but
the
yeah,
continent,
well,
they're
what's
from a
his name?
French speaking side.
What's it? Reggie's
Because
name
they'll
is-
have that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
I don't. Yo, he says he don't know where he's from. He said he's a
He's a nigger.
yeah he's a chematologist. I mean he's a chematarian.
No, but Shifter has a good point in terms of
Yeah.
you're talking about the Louisiana area. A lot of the brothers, even although they live in New York and so forth, that Louisiana French connection.
Yeah.
It's a different mentality of
Yeah.
what's been gone on. So it's
He's saying their concept is different.
yeah.
But
the way
back
they,
to also to the fairs, also in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, but many different places,
Yeah.
even including India.
Yep.
It doesn't have the fair, it's cut.
Yeah.
Release.
So there must be a reason why it's cut.
Yeah, with the tassel.
Yes.
Yeah. Because this is supposed to
There's
represent.
four
They
Yeah.
have the
This
small
much.
cap and the high cap.
Yeah. Then they have the small and the high one. Yeah.
You
Right.
have some of
But
them
some of
with
them
this
don't.
piece.
They don't have the tassel on it.
Only that piece.
Right. Yeah. They just have the little knob. Yeah. They just have the navel.
Yes, like circumcised or
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
taken off from the
Yeah.
line. Or
'Cause this
like
so this right here is the navel, right? And then this right here is the umbilical cord. So by taking this off, the same thing, they separate them from their mother.
Well, that's exactly. and
So
it's
they just have
happening.
them with the headwear alone. But the headwear itself represents a womb. So they kind of didn't take them from their mother really, right?
Because the womb is still there.
Because the womb's still there, but the umbilical cord is taken off, right? And then this ball is supposed to be the earth, or the man traveling around the earth, right? Or traveling around the sun. Earth traveling around the sun, which is the sun is the being, right? And then these are the degrees, the rays of the sun reaching and going to 360 degrees. And then this is the earth plane. And then the earth plane is broken up into 4 quadrants with 4 circles of holes, east, west, north, south, or whatever. And then you have 18 holes, 12 holes, and 9 holes. And then the 9 is symbolic of the mother. The 12 is for 12 zodiac, 12 disciples, 12 whatever is 12. And then the 18 is representing the universal laws, as above, so below, right? The hex alpha. And much more stuff. But it's all the same stuff, same concept. If you ask anybody in the world, that's what it means. You wear this, you're on a higher status than other people.
Yeah, the girl there at right to the Iraqi girl at Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tell that
yeah,
story quick, fast.
The Iraqi girl, she works at Walmart, and she saw me with my face, and then I go up to her and she tell me, I said, what you know about it? It said, in my country, it's people that's in high places. Where is it? And I happened to go back to the store again with my friend, our Rastafari friend, and she get away from the cashier, stay there all the way just to let me come to her. And when I go to her, she pop my bag and put the hangers together and give it to me. The guy was saying to me, what's up here? She loves you. She loves you why she do that, but he don't know. But the girl, she knows.
It's only one.
Because they never see, no, in Walmart they pack your bag, you pick up your bag and go. No, she put the angles together and give it to me.
You say she's from Iraq?
Yeah.
Yeah, because these things are usually worn by the Sufis.
Yes.
And also by the Grand Sheikh. Although he's not a Grand Sheikh,
Yeah.
but they will wear it.
Yeah.
And the only thing they'll
say
is the Pakistani holy scripts or Holy Quran by Abdullah Yusuf, so they think the man is well educated, but he's just someone who's repeating what he has been taught.
Right.
And not have anything of a salve. Because when you don't have nothing from the South, then you're like, I don't consider you to be, you must be a copy of something. Otherwise, you're supposed to be yourself. The majority of them in Iraq and Iran, the Sufis, which are different sect of Islam than any other Islamic belief system.
Yeah.
Although they call them the fire worship.
Yeah.
But without the fire, there is nothing going on. And they go around at 360 degrees, and they're the most hated. And even the word philosophy comes from a Sufi. The word itself.
Philosophy.
Sufi. Philosophy. So basically, and up to now, they say that actually the black people, whenever harvest time, they'll bring a black man with a fez that brings the harvest to them. In Persia, up to this day.
Yeah.
With the fez. In a statue. So even when harvest comes in Iran or Persia, it's a black man that actually brings with the fez.
Why? That's a slave.
And so harvest man is a slave, the man that introduced
Yeah.
food to you and gave you life.
Right?
It must be in Igbo land. Maybe in Igbo
Right? Peace. This is Kazi Sifu Heru El Day. I just wanted to say thank you for putting out the work, and some of the questions that I have are: what police come to your house with a so-called search warrant, bench warrant, and an Article 3 judge isn't signed off on? So if there's a situation where you had court or something like that, and you miss your court date or whatever, you're supposed to get this first. Let's find the Constitution back there somewhere. And then Article 3. Constitution should be back there somewhere. So you miss a court date or whatever like that, they issue a warrant. Right? The deliverer of this warrant supposed to be sheriff. Anybody else delivering this warrant know that they're acting under de facto powers. Most of the time, the warrant is not signed by a judge, or specifically Article 3 judge. You got the, I think it's
Section
yeah, Article 3. Yeah, I think Section 1 and 2. Oh yeah, fuck. No, it doesn't matter, just read it all.
Article 3, the USA Constitution. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and the inferior court, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their service a compensation which shall not be diminished during the continuance in office. Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under the Constitution, the laws of the United States, and the treaties made or which shall be made under the authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases in admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between the state and citizens of another state, between states of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under the grants of different states, and between a state or citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens, or subjects. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which the state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction.
Okay, read that part again.
In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction.
Right? So, in cases, regardless of what the case is, once it's involving consul, ambassadors,
public ministers,
or
and
public
consuls.
ministers, right? So a consul, like we talked about earlier, is self-handling your own affairs, right? Ambassador, public minister. That's why Noble Drew Ali had people that were doing the divine works classified as divine ministers, because the title of a minister is really not church related or religious related or whatever. It's a constitutional title. So to be a minister or a consul, once you have some type of controversy or whatever like that, Supreme Court's supposed to have supreme jurisdiction over the matters that you're dealing with. But with the sellout of the republics to the democracy, even these people are now not working in the favor of constitutional authority, right? People always make the joke that Congress is a sellout because this is also what a bunch of baboons is called. Congress, right? So the usurpation of our Aboriginal Indigenous government has caused all of the so-called seats of power to be compromised. Which is why Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, because remember he's a prophet, told the Moors, enforce the Constitution. Because by enforcing this, now these corrupt people who are in these seats, right, they have to now pick a side on what they're gonna be dealing with. Not because they have control of the seat means that they can void that and do whatever they want. Right? That's why when they say that they're issuing a warrant, most of the time, the name on it is in all capital letters, which lets you know that they're about to violate you. Because anything written in all capital letters is identifying a corporation, is identifying a corporate person. And the warrant is not going to be signed by a Supreme Court or what they would call Article 3 judge. It's going to be signed by some magistrate, some quasi-court individual who is working with the municipalities, states, or whatever like that, using the seat of a judge under the name of magistrate to violate people's rights, sign people's warrants when they don't have authority to sign, have some so-called officer delivering this when that individual who's delivering that is hired. They weren't elected to that so-called seat called, bailiff or whatever like that, who's going to be delivering this warranty. But we can't solely get mad at them for being so callous and criminal. We have to be mad at ourselves for not listening to what Noble Drew Ali laid down since the 1913 for us to proclaim our nationality and start enforcing the Constitution, because these people are going to be eventually getting out of hand with their criminal activity, which we're seeing. That's what we're seeing the manifest of right now. These people they've been so not challenged that they just got comfortable in their corruption, and now here they are shooting people in the street, punching ladies in the face and stuff like that, dragging people and whatever, just because they feel that they can do that because nobody's challenged them for so long. There was some more?
Yeah. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction both as to law and fact, with such exceptions under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in the cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state which the said crime shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may, by law, have directed. That's section 2. That's
Right.
section
So Article
1 and 2.
3.
Article 3,
Article 3 of the
section 1 and 2.
Constitution. The next question was, what if I get pulled over and they try to impound my vehicle? First question is, why are you getting pulled over? Right? When you check, if you check the record of people getting pulled over, 80% to 90% of the time is because of that individual behind the wheel did something or didn't do something. Either going too fast in some area that they shouldn't be going too fast in, and then they want to stand on rights, I could drive 80 in a 50. Well, yeah, but to run somebody over, what I mean, you're in violation, right? Brake light, tail light, or whatever's out. made them get stopped. Now they got stopped. Now they got to deal with this so-called highwayman whose duty it is to violate your rights. When, we talked about this last night, that they teach you in driving school. Before you even get behind the wheel of the car, you walk around the car, check your stuff, make sure your light's working, make sure your mirror's working, making sure everything's straight before you go out there. If people did that, they wouldn't get stopped as much as they get stopped. Because majority of people get stopped because behind the wheel they do something that they shouldn't be doing while they're behind the wheel. Yeah, we have the right to go 500 miles an hour because, once I don't hit anybody, you know what I mean? Everything's all right. But you still have an obligation to show due care. Because it might not be that you hit somebody. It might be that, you lose control. You know what I mean? It's like with I'm a Moor, so I don't need to wear a seatbelt. Well, you're the one going through the windshield. Like, why wouldn't you wear a seatbelt? Well, because but when you had licenses, first thing you do, you put the click on. Like, so now that you're Moor, you don't put the click on just because, right? So people have to check their self with regard to getting pulled over. Now, let's just say everything's good and you do get pulled over, right? And they're trying to impound your vehicle. First thing they're gonna do is call these people, right? Because they don't usually use the police version of this to take your stuff. They call their whoever that they contracted with. So when these guys come to the scene, this is what I did at least. Talk with this guy. Do you have authority to be taking people's private property or whatever, or are you contracted with that guy? Well, we have a contract with them. All right. So if you have a contract with them, then why am I paying you to pick this up to take it to their impound? Like, why am I paying you, the tow truck driver? I don't have a contract with you. You have a contract with those guys. So those guys should be paying you to impound this. Why am I paying you to impound my stuff? How about this? How about I pay you right now and you take this wherever I tell you take it? And he was down with that. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Because regardless, I'm getting paid or whatever. Right? And then they towed to my house. And again, the contract was, we're going to call you. And when we call you, you're going to impound this. So they called him. You know what I mean? Guy came, hooked up the stuff. And, they already got their contract, so they took off. They left because, we called our boy. He's going to take the stuff. And then, talk to the guy. And he's like, okay, pay me now. If you pay me now, I'll take it anywhere that you want. All right. Here's the stuff. Better than me having to go pay them $5,000 plus pay him or whatever like that, which is going to be on their $5,000 bill. Right? That they're going to give me for the impound. $500 a day times whatever, 3 days, however long that they decide to keep it or whatever. If that doesn't work and they do get away with it, you're going to look up writ of replevin. Writ of replevin. See if replevin is in the... And this is a writ in order to retrieve stolen property. But they say that this is supposed to be signed off on by a judge. But then remember that, we're consul. We're consul and ministers. So we're supposed to have, because remember, the judge is going to have seal, you know what I mean? And, you know, the seal on the paper or whatever like that. Remember that as Moors, we're supposed to be aligned with some type of body of Moors that have their own seal. So that if we have any type of issues and anybody needs any type of documentation or whatever like that, whoever is signing off on our papers could put their seal on it so that anybody who sees it, they're not going to read the seal. Once they see the gold thing on there, they're game that this probably came from something official and we'll accept it. Right? Because we've had situations when we talked about using notaries and not being fully conscious of what it is to be Moorish Science Temple and going to a notary with something sealed by the temple and then the notary saying, this is already sealed, why do you need me to seal it for? Which let us know that, oh, so you guys recognize a seal. Doesn't matter what's on it. And then, you know, at the school board, they have their little seal that all their envelopes on the back, the lick part, how they know that it's legit is that they put a seal on the lick part. So that if the seal's broken, then they know that, you know, when people applying for university or whatever like that, their transcript goes into an envelope that's sealed by the school. That when the next guy gets it, they're, oh, okay, this is legit because the seal's not broken. And then the people who, you know, want to see their transcript or whatever like that, they break the seal, read their stuff. Oh yeah, the transcript, I got my grades, put it back in, and then they go to the university, sorry, we can't take that because the seal's broken.
Gotta go pay another
$50 to go get another letter. That you got a letter right there, but just because of the seal only, they can't take it. You got replicant?
Replicant. A personal action, ex delicto, brought to recover possession of goods unlawfully taken. Generally, but not only applicable to the taking of goods distrained for rent, the validity of which taking it in the mode of contesting. If the party from whom the goods were taken wishes to have them back in specie, whereas if he preferred to have damages instead, the validity of the contested by action of trespass or unlawful distress. The word means a redelivery to the owner of the pledge or thing taken in distress. A local action to be brought where property is taken or where property is disdained unless statute regulates the matter. A possessory action and a plaintiff cannot recover on the weakness of defendant's title but must recover on the strength of his own title. A cardinal question in replicant action is plaintiff's right to immediate possession of the property at the commencement of action.
Right? So possessory action on the strength of your own title. Your title, El Bey Al Bey Ali. There's your title. All your titles that Noble Drew Ali brought back to you. And whenever you hear the democracy people say title, don't think judge and sheriff and, you know, officer of whatever like that. Think Al Bey Al Ali when they say title. That's where your mind is. Where their mind is, don't even matter. They can think whatever they want about title. When you hear title, this is what title means when you hear title. So if they say, you know, title for your conveyance, title for your car or whatever like that, title for your property, your perspective is the property, whatever it is that has the title, it has the title because it's mine. Title is not a piece of paper or something that somebody, you know, took some oath and now they have a title. The title is who we are. The title is what gives us the authority to say we're going to send a writ of replicant to the toll people, to the police, to the sheriff, to the judge who signed off on whatever it is, in order to get that property back. And then the same thing applies with the writ of discovery, that you make a request to them, return it in a certain amount of days. If they don't, they get default judgment for not returning it. And if they don't, 30 days, you give them another one, and then now you have your paper trail that they didn't do what they're supposed to do. And then remember again, the theme is that you better have a nationality when you're starting to exercise some of this stuff. The black license, writ of replevin, you're not getting nothing back. You're not even hearing you. You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything.
Or there's
Any add-ons?
Or there's a corporate equivalent that costs money, an application, which may or may not work, but if you do it in your free national name, then it's free. And it always works, regardless of the result.
When applying for an apartment or house and I'm a national, how do I operate that process? Just like anything else that requests a name or whatever, write it down. If they ask for ID or whatever like that, you got your nationality card, put that down, and then that's what it is. Or, you know, like we were saying people yesterday, because you already know that once you start exercising from the perspective of being national, that means that certain claims that they can't make anymore. Right? So you learn to live within contracts. I don't know if the book's up there, but learn to live within contracts. Anything you sign, right? You got the sign line. You use that slave name. Anytime you're using that slave name, you write on the line, all rights reserved, and then you sign whatever your signature is over that all rights reserved. Make sure all rights reserved is legible so nobody can say that they didn't see it or whatever like that. Sign over that. Brother Amari gets the stamps that if you don't want to write it, you just stamp the paper and then sign over the stamp and reserve your rights and go get your house or whatever it is that you're going to get. Because regardless of whether you use free national name, whether you use slave name and reserve your rights, you're standing on national principles. Because you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't have a nationality. Like you wouldn't be saying all rights reserved on a contract if you didn't have rights to protect. And the only people who have rights are nationals. No people who do have rights, they don't talk like this. It doesn't even matter. They're just gonna sign and they don't care, right? Which is why people get violated. But then again, you have, instances where as soon as they see this, they're like, we're not accepting that contract or whatever like that. You have to take that all rights reserved off. Which is supposed to let you know that those people are corrupt. If they're not going to let you reserve their rights, they're going to tell you that you can't use their logo or whatever like that because they reserve their rights. But then when you reserve your rights, they don't want you to reserve yours. That's letting you know that they're corrupt. And maybe you shouldn't be contracting with them. Even if they're going to let you reserve your rights, you say, it's all right, I'll go to the other guy down there because you guys are clearly trying to violate me or something.
I did that at my son's new school.
Yeah.
And the vice principal, he looked at me, he knows what's going on.
Oh yeah. They know.
Knows what's going on.
You know what I mean? That's like the lady at CIBC. One time I went, reserved my rights. She's like, you do that too? I never seen anybody else do that before. Like, yeah, you do it too. When sending an affidavit, can I send to bill collectors, court buildings, and companies? Anybody who's attempting to get something from you that you don't want to give up, you could send them writs or whatever. Regardless of what it is. Somebody, especially, like we were saying, somebody said, you owe me $20. First question, who are you? Do we have a contract or something like that? Well, I have a contract with those guys, and those guys are telling me to come ask you for the $20.
On the phone all the time.
You got something to prove that you're contracted with those people? And if you do have something, I need it in writing, make sure it's signed in blue ink, sealed, and all the other stuff that qualifies it to be something from those people. And then maybe we can have a conversation. Until I see that, don't call over here. You know, and they're still gonna call. That's why you have Better Business Bureau, and you make complaints on those people. As soon as they call, as soon as they start getting 6 o'clock in the morning, phones ringing and stuff like that, start make complaints on these people. That's why there's Better Business Bureau and stuff like that.
The phone company to tell me how to slag them. I slag the call when they come in, and if they call me back, call the police and tell them, and they will call them, the phone company, and take care of it if they call me back.
Many ways to skin a cat. If I get fired from my job being a national, being 1 minute late, what can I do to press charges? You shouldn't have been late. It's the same thing with the getting pulled over, tail lights out. Now we're gonna drag you out the car, kick your ass. Yeah, but why are you guys doing that? You guys can't violate my rights or whatever. What do you mean? Tail light was out. What do you want? You know what I mean? Minute late. Well, you're a minute late. How much times were you a minute late? You know what I mean? Is that the first time? If that was the first time, then maybe you might have some grounds or whatever like that. But if they go to the thing and they say January late, no, minute late, no, minute late, minute late. It adds up to 500 hours that you're a minute late. Then,
and especially if you're operating in your national capacity, they're looking for ways to get rid of you.
Yeah, so looking for ways to get rid of you.
You gotta even be more on your toes if you're operating in your national capacity, because now they're looking at you as a liability.
And it might not be them. Could be a law kicking your ass, because if you're being a national, you're supposed to be tardy. You know, black time if you're a national. You know, show up when I want and all that stuff if you're a national. If you're a national, you shoelaces tied, shining or whatever, you got the crease in the pants and all that stuff. You're not playing around with giving these people any chances to find anything to say, oh, you know what? You violated. No chances. No chances. Make sure that your stuff is tight if you're saying that you're national. Make sure that it's tight. Because just like brother said, you know what I mean? Like, for example, when in 07 when we did the news thing or whatever, and then went to work, talk about this. Friday, left work, everything's good. Hey, bye, have a good weekend, whatever like that. You know what I mean? Saturday, went on the news. Monday, come back to work. Everybody just... What happened? Like, something happened on the weekend? Like, what's going on or whatever? Nothing. All morning, nothing. Nobody. Lady who was next desk to me or whatever. Everybody's just doing their work all morning. Like something's about to go down today. Got the call. Yeah, can you come in the office or whatever like that? You know, this is nothing personal against you or anything like that. You know what I mean? You know, your work stuff is good or whatever like that. We don't have anything, but we just have to downsize. You know what I mean? So, you know, here's a check or whatever. Sign here and see you never.
Oh, man.
And that was it. That was it. Just because. On TV saying downsize, let one individual.
Oh man, liability.
Like, okay. Like, all right, guys, I see what's up. You know, no worries. You know, once we send off documents or paperwork of name correction proclamations for nationality, when can we start sending affidavits? When can we start sending affidavits? So once you proclaim your nationality and you get your judicial proclamation and name correction papers, and then you put everybody on notice that, you know, you are now exercising in this name, however you want to put it or whatever like that. You give them their 30 days. At that point, you know what I mean, it's free reign. But you're not going to just be sending affidavits just because, you know, I'm more now, so I'm just going to send affidavits just because. You know what I mean? Let it be a situation that you're dealing with. Let it be something. Because to write affidavits and stuff like that is something that deals with you know, it takes time to do these things. It takes finance to send stuff out or whatever like that. You aren't just spending finance just sending stuff out just because I'm a Moor, I'm going to send stuff out. Because you got to send stuff registered if you're sending things out. You're not going to send any regular mail. You're not going to send mail where they do the, you know, print the thing and then put that on or whatever. You want to buy stamps, the equivalent of what you're mailing out, right? Because a stamp is legitimate mail. That red stuff that they stamp and all that stuff is mail fraud, right? When they start, and again, they do these things and claim expediency. We're trying to speed up the system so we don't have to, you know, peel a stamp off and then peel a stamp off, and then, you know, if your stuff's going to China, you have 80 stamps on it. Well, when people from China sending stuff here, there are 80 stamps on it. They don't do that stuff with the red sticker and all that stuff. They actually use stamps other places. Only here that they have this thing where, oh yeah, just put it through the machine and they'll just print something on it, 80 cents, and then that qualifies as it's a stamp. When that's not a stamp, that's mail fraud. Right? And they do that everywhere now. Right? Couple more questions. Peace and love to all Moors worldwide, and all praise due to the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Question is in regards to handling a court case for a suspended license. Going through the process of getting my papers sealed, so I haven't been able to proclaim and put the principal and agents on notice of the correction. When I went to court, they didn't want to accept any paperwork or my status when I went to put it on the record. It's my first time dealing with the court since becoming aware of the fraud of my substantive birthrights, and I'm not quite sure next step should be in the process. Thank you for your time. Honors to the Moors in Canaanland and for uplifting fallen humanity. So, just like anything else that is a process, you can't just, you know, just find out about this and think that you're going to go out there and do something with this without it being first in your mind secure, right? You can't say, you know, you know, you caught one ball and now let's go, yeah, put me on the all-star team. Like, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You have to go through the process of, first of all, getting all the nigger stuff off you, because, you know, we got mad issues. We got serious issues that majority of us have never ever dealt with, never considered, never even thought about dealing with, because it's never been anything that came up. But as soon as you start saying that you're national and you're starting to act premature with this information, you're going to realize how much nigger stuff you got in you when you start exercising as national, because all of a sudden you start, nigger stuff just be jumping out of you that you don't even know how. like I still think like that or whatever. I still do stuff like that. I you know what I mean? So it's a cleansing. It's a exorcism that you have to do. You know what I mean? You have to, you know, like Sister Razbay says, you know, when you start exercising, you know what I mean? When you start getting into this information, getting it into you, and your spirit's starting to absorb this information, you know, you might hurl on yourself, you might hurl on some people during your exorcism. You know, I had the movie, and she started hurling because the spirits were leaving her or whatever like that. It might happen. Other people around you might hurl on you sometimes because they're exercising themselves. It's all right, you know what I mean? You wipe it off. You just keep getting the demons out, because we're filled with demons. That's why this is divine and national. It's not this divine only or national only. And it's real when you with Supreme or whatever. When you go to a court or whatever, and you stand up in front of a judge, and you actually back them down for the first time, like you actually see them fold. When you actually see them fold, cause of some info. Just cause some info. Not even because of nothing. You just went up there and you said something or whatever like that, and they realize where you're coming from. They're like, this guy actually knows. Like he really knows. Like, what's up? A whole different world opens up to you.
Yeah, it's like you're walking through the gate.
Yeah, like you go through a vortex portal or something like that, and it's a whole. You start seeing stuff different. Stuff starts smelling different. You start feeling different about your stuff.
And all of a sudden, you just look like regular people up there, just like, oh my god, this is an act. This is an act going on. You know what I mean?
Right?
And then even in response, that's the telltale sign of being new.
Right.
The same thing with me, you know. I mean, when the first situation I had, like, yo, they're telling me they're not accepting nothing, that, and the third. By the second time I went through it, it's like, listen, if you don't accept this, then, you know what I mean, you're tampering with evidence, because it's an affidavit, a fact, which means it has to be put on the record. If you're telling me you're not accepting it, then you're tampering with evidence, bro. They hear that? No problem. We'll put that all in there, and yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's all about the energy, and a lot of these people, they've been doing the job for years, man. So they can sense when you're fresh.
They sense what's up.
They can sense when you don't know. You're fumbling with your papers. You're like slipping up on your words, and they can be like, okay, they look at this guy and like, okay, this guy's obviously new. I'm gonna tell him that we don't accept anything and see what his response
and
is.
That's just gonna shatter him.
Yeah.
Oh, I worked so hard.
Yo, I'm gonna tell him we don't accept it, and then see what he does, and then when you just like you sit there and you're just blank, and you're thinking to yourself like,
just like what? What do you mean?
What do you mean you don't accept it?
They said that
they got you. It's over.
Yeah. Put it this way: when you actually you get into it a little bit, you're more confident, and you go in wanting them to deny you so that you can exercise and practice things as opposed to them acquiescing to your stuff, and then they acquiesce and you're like, that was soft, man. That's too easy.
Go at you guys.
That's when you put that away. That's when you know when you're ready.
100%. But like I say that from experience, not to let them feel like I'm clowning on them. But the first time they told me they don't accept it, I was just like. I'm thinking in my head like, I didn't prepare for this. What do you mean you don't accept this?
You don't accept it, like.
And I left there with the documents in my hand. You know what I mean? Until
printed.
Yeah, I ended up talking to that's where I got it from. I ended up talking to Brother Amari. Brother Amari dropped that on me like, yo, the tampering with evidence. And then I sat back and I'm like, yo, for real though, like, yo, that's not your position to be telling me what you accept now. You just accept it, give me your signature, and keep it moving.
And that's it.
And then when I went back there, I was flaming. I was like, let's go.
That's it.
For sure, man. Or they say, we don't accept it, but we'll take it this time.
Yeah.
This one time, we'll take it or whatever. But you know that you got them on the strings a little bit. You know what I mean? You know you got them a little bit. 100%. But you don't want to, you know what I mean, like for first time people, because these people are criminal. Don't get that twisted. because of, you know, you hear stories and stuff like that and whatever.
That's a
These
beautiful
people are criminal.
That's a beautiful point. I
And
tell
they
people all
will
the time.
railroad you.
Don't think that these
They
people
will.
are legit. Like, they're criminals. They're corrupt. And their job is to make sure you don't succeed.
Yep.
So you can't go into the establishment thinking like, yo, I'm going to drop these paperwork. And then they're going to read it and they're going to be like, you know what? He's a Moor. He's standing on nationality. We have no case here. Dismiss. You're free to go. So, no, it's never going to happen. You're going to have to go in there and you're going to have to pull teeth. You're going to have to drag off robes. And you're going to have to slap them over the head for them to even acknowledge you. You know what I mean? So I always tell people that don't go in there thinking that, yo, you're just going to proclaim your nationality and these guys are going to be like, yo, everything's good. You're a national. Good to go. Nah, it's going to be even more of a fight now because they're like, okay, so you feel like you know what you're doing then. So let's see how much you really know. And then things are going to come out the woodwork. You know what I mean? And that's from experience.
Because they, you know, a lot of times, we miss them telling on themselves.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because of not having full, you know what I mean, information. Like, there's times where you go to court and you hear, you know what I mean, like, you know, you might go with somebody and you might hear judge say something or whatever like that, lawyer say something, and then they're clearly giving them the window just to jump through or whatever. And they don't take it. They're arguing about, you know what I mean? Well, you don't have a right. Yo, they just give you the window. Like,
Yo, this is a perfect example. I won't name the brother, but me and this brother had two situations on the same day. So we had our tribunal date set on the same day because he was a guest in my conveyance and he got hemmed up. When I got hemmed up, they're trying to kidnap whatever whatnot. So anyways, for like months we're putting in work. Well, I'm putting in work. I can't really speak for the brother, but I'm putting in work. But his thing was something minor. Like my wife had dropped her credit card in the car, and then they found him in the guest seat, and they're like trying to tie it to him like, yo, he stole it. Well, obviously, it wasn't the case, and all they had to do was call it a firm, which they did. So, yo, now it's time for us to go in front of this flipping justice of the peace, right? And he's first, and it's always like that. They're always putting him first. I'm like, please don't let this guy go before me, because the way this guy goes at it, it just completely ruins it. Like, yo, these people are pissed by the time I gotta go up. You know what I mean? And I gotta dig through the quicksand.
Yeah.
So we go up. So he goes up now. He's in front of me. They call him up first. It's like, fuck. Like, seriously, they called him first. Like, yo, come on. Anyway, they called him up first. Now he goes up.
The energy already.
Yeah, and he's just blasting off the mouth, just saying all types of nonsense, right? And the justice of the peace and the prosecutor like, yo, we're withdrawing the charges. Because obviously it's baseless. And this guy's going still. And me and Rennie are looking at this guy like, bro, get out of there, man. Like, yo, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I want delegation and I want this and I want bond numbers. And he just squirting out his mouth. And I'm sitting back like, what the hell is this guy doing? The judge is like, yo, get out of here. Yo, tripping. Policy enforcers are coming from outside to drag this guy out. Me and Rennie are just looking at each other like, what are you doing up there? Yo, it's withdrawing. Sit down.
Take a trip.
Oh, man. Hilarious. But yeah, the perfect example of one of those.
You know what I mean? So sometimes it happens. Yeah, sometimes it happens where they just
door's open.
Kick you the hell out.
And the man has his back to the door, not even paying attention. The door's open, breeze is licking him from the back, and he just fighting to keep going.
Yeah, there was a couple.
We're laughing about it now, but I mean, you gotta go through it.
Yeah, for sure. It's experience. That's why I can bring it out there, because these are my experiences, right? Let people know, like, yo, listen, it's happened to most of us, especially me.
Been there.
It was a testimonial. Oh yeah, this is my grip. Okay, so this is a testimonial. This morning I was headed to the dentist. I was wearing a t-shirt on with our flag on it. An amalgamated Moor, quote-unquote pale Arab, said, "Excuse me, where did you get your shirt?" I said, "I got it here in the Maghreb." He looked at me again and said, "You went to Morocco?" I said, "I'm standing in the Maghreb, Al-Aqsa, Morocco, the farthest west." He paused, looking surprised. He asked me again. I said, "I'm standing in Morocco, and that I bought the t-shirt somewhere online." Again he looked at me, and I returned the gaze to confirm my statement. As he hugged me, he said, "God bless you," and went on his way. I traveled all over the world to more than 35 countries, and I've been grateful for having strangers of all walks of life treat me with grace, kindness, and hospitality. The way he hugged me was like family. He was sincere, and I gratefully received and exchanged love and positive energy with him. Love as an ancient concept is the beginning step for us again to take our rightful place in the world. As the amalgamated Moor hugged me to today, all I could do was smile and laugh. I know who I am. I honor my ancestors, all divine prophets, and noble Juali. I have so much more studying to do. I'm humbled by this experience. I hope sharing this will comfort and strengthen the resolve of other Moors and remain honorable and active. Salam, Khalifa. Right? Pale Arab. You know, the same Pale Arabs who these guys say we got stuff from them or whatever. Right?
Can you, the amalgamated part there, can you touch on that?
You got the regular, yeah. They say that term see how much time we're running with. And then we got about 20 minutes left on the street. Amalgamate.
To compound or to mix, in the brackets that has a metal, with quicksilver. Commonly to blend, unite, or combine generally into one mass or whole. To combine, to form an amalgam. To unite or coalesce, general. To become mixed or blended together, amalgamation.
Right? So, amalgamated Moors are what we would classify, we would say that for Europeans, I will say pale Europeans, pale Arabs, etc. Because unless they have blue eyes and blonde hair, they got Moors in them. They got Moors in them somewhere, shape, form. Trace them as far back as you could go, you'll find out that they have some type of connection to the dark-skinned people known as Moors. That's why these people don't have blue eyes, blonde hair. And just like Brother Tesma was talking about earlier, 1/8, 1/16 of, like they said, nigger blood makes you nigger. That's why they call Irish niggers. And Irish don't get mad about it. They accept it because they know that, they come from, that's why they say the same thing with Scottish when they got red hair and stuff like that, and they already know that these people aren't the Aryans Hitler was trying to create.
Yes, I know one guy, he's here and his dad, very old man, and he said he will never get Canadian citizenship because he's not swearing to the Queen.
Right?
He's Irish.
Because he knows. Right? He knows. And then they say that amalgamated, if you check some dictionaries, they say amalgamated is an archaic term. So when you hear Moors use it, we could use it because we go that far back to know what that is. That's why you wouldn't hear, or you would hear conscious black guys in it. Europeans aren't our people, they're devils and all that type of stuff. That's BS. Ain't no European devil more than so-called black people. There ain't no European that's more devil than Asiatic. Because if they're the devil and we made them, then what kind of devil are we or whatever? If it's documented fact we made them and they say that they're the devil, then what level of devil are we if they're the devil? How high up on the devil list are we? You know what I mean? We're the devil. Right? Just look at the conditions of our people out there or whatever. Tell me that we're not the devil. Right? Kill a brother for shoes or whatever, you're a devil. Like, shoes, that's some devilish stuff. Right? And it's not a thing of, like, we know that there are individuals in this that are disagreeable, but there are also some of them that are trying to get this thing to fall over too. That they're doing whatever they can to make sure that the word gets out that the United States is a democracy and making people slaves and they're a corporation and whatever like that. Same way that Moors talk, there's some of these people that talk just like how we talk. And that they know that we're not black people. One of those people is Rick Smith. We got his book right there, The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien. Right? He's one of those Europeans that knows about us, knows about our history on Earth plane and in universe. And which aliens came and contracted with Europeans, give them technology or whatever like that so they can, do their world takeover that they're trying to do. And that, him taking that position of talking how he's talking, he knows that his protection is saying that 4-letter word, more. He knows that's his protection. Just saying that word right there, putting that on the cover of his book, going all over, doing blog talk shows. Actually, he has a blog talk show tonight. I think it's tonight with Brother Amazite on his blog talk show. Gonna be interviewed, dealing with the book and all that other stuff. Just because, Who else needs to hear it from a European other than our people? Yeah, I don't listen to Moors, but let a European come start talking about Moors and how serious our history is or whatever like that, or they'll listen. They'll open up to that European or whatever. Even if they don't listen to us, that's cool. You know what I mean? We'll give him a platform to let him talk. We'll sell his book and all that stuff because we know the influence that Europeans have over our people. Because, Europeans, they're God.
Because niggas don't believe nothing to a white man tells them.
They don't believe nothing. As soon as white man says it, they're on it. They're on it. You know what I mean? They are on it. Right? And that is a good book. Questions. There's an ex parte Davis on RV Bay publication site, but it's not as lengthy as the one I got from an online link. That's where the confusion comes in. RV Bay goes into great detail about multiple topics, but says little to nothing about the number one thing that plagues the majority brothers trying to live normal lives. Is that an accurate form, and is there a template for it? Are there any brothers that has successfully fought this fight that I might be connected with as far as child support? Now, one of the things that we have to keep in mind with regard to child support. Right? Because again, jurisdiction is in the language. So as soon as you say you're fighting for child support, right? That is a corporation, right? That's a corporation. Property can't own property. So the so-called state steps in and they take jurisdiction over this entity. And like we were talking about earlier, they get the mother out the way. They get the mother out the way, and then the state becomes the mother. Right? Then the mother becomes an overseer for the state. Mother becomes an overseer for the state. Mother becomes overseer for the state in order to keep the father in perpetual slavery to the state. So once you get into this world, know that if you don't have a positive relationship with her, your stuff's pretty much done. You might as well go pay the stuff. Because they're going to use her forever against the father. Just because. Right? Because you know, the whole child support racket that's big finance. Huge finance. That's huge finance. Right? And this is why when you know you get into situations where this separation happens, right? And there's middle, I don't care what situation is or whatever like that. Don't get her mad. Because when she gets mad, she'll go to the state. Because she's an overseer, she'll go to the state and tell the state whatever to get payback on father for, you know, whatever personal vendetta she has against him. She'll use the state. And the state will gladly go along with it because they know that if child's in the middle, it's dollar signs for them. Because either he's going to pay or, you know what I mean? Either way, this guy's going to get it. So, first thing, if you got some child support stuff or whatever, go to her. Apologize for all the stuff that you did or whatever, even if you didn't do it or whatever. Try to turn her around from being an overseer, because it never fails. Just go check the record. They always side with the crazy baby mother. Yeah. Even if father has a job, whatever like that, blah, blah, blah. If there's no relationship here, right? She's either going to use them to get back at him, or state is going to use her to get at him. And his position is to make sure that only way that he can win with this, the only way that father could trump this is by taking her to court for full custody. If she's siding with them, right, he's gonna have to go into his little bag of all the stuff, dirt that she did, all the text messages that he found her texting other men and stuff like that, prove that she's not capable of being that, and go for full custody. Because once she has animosity towards him, it's over.
Yeah. That's what I did and get my son.
Full custody?
Yeah, I got my son full
Yeah.
custody.
Yeah. Right? You know what I mean? And then there's an example of that.
Yeah.
It could work.
It worked.
Him going for custody. Because remember that the pattern is that doesn't happen. The pattern is that he would usually yield.
Yeah.
He'll usually just default. Whatever like that. And then forget that he has obligation. But if he can humble and take responsibility, then that puts them in bed together. Right? And once you got them in bed together, then the only one left to make a decision is the judge. And then you can play you could play his strings to go against her if you know your stuff is tight. You can make her look like evil witch or whatever like that.
Even
she shouldn't even have any jurisdiction to make decisions for a child if she can't even make decisions for herself. You know, if it goes there. Right. You were gonna say something?
It's good when they keep their receipts and their document. Because at one point before with my other kids, when I give her money or the fee or whatever it is, she give me receipts. Or if I make the money order, I get my children to sign it too, like their mother, just for the record that they don't even know that I'm keeping record. So at one point when I was going at them, the system asked me how they're going to be sure that the money I give to her is for the kids. When she shuffles through the receipt, I said, look at that one. You see 3 signatures on that one? What do you think it means? For her and the kids, they're all the same thing here.
Children.
Yeah, for the children, not kids, for the children.
Yeah, so
those little receipts, like, you keep them.
He mentioned something about ex parte.
Yeah.
So I just had life supreme.
Yeah. I came across this information while looking for remedy for child support. I saw a video of Royale who explained his process, who I'm sure you're familiar with, and I came across another video of a brother that put a link of his paperwork and what he sent to the courts ex parte Davis. Can you see the attachment? There's a ex parte Davis on our rebate public. Yeah, so ex parte also applies. You got ex parte there?
Yeah. Ex parte, on one side only, by or for one party, done for in behalf of or on application of one party only. A judicial proceeding, order, injunction, etc. is said to be ex parte when it is taken or granted at the instance and for the benefit of one party only, and without notice to or contested by any person adversely interested. In its primary sense, ex parte, as applied to an application in a judicial proceeding, means that it is made by a person who is not a party to the proceeding, but who has an interest in a matter which entitles him to make the application. Thus, in a bankruptcy proceeding or an administration action, an application by a B creditor or the like would be described as an ex parte, AB I.E. on part of AB. In its more usual sense, ex parte means the application is made by one party to a proceeding in the absence of another. Thus, the ex parte injunction is one granted without the opposite party having had notice of the application. it would not be called ex parte. If he had proper notice of it and chose not to appear to oppose it, then it says sweet. Ex parte, in the heading of a reported case, signifies that the name following is that of the party upon whose application the case is heard.
You got anything to add on?
Yeah, no, I guess that's relative to the, the document that he
The
found on
document,
every day,
yeah.
which may have been somebody, another Moor who assisted him
Assisted in, on behalf of
on behalf of.
somebody else.
Yeah.
So they would do that, for example, how the courts or whatever would do ex parte is you have a situation, whatever, driver's license, whatever, and then you go to court and you say, oh, more, and then they kick you out the court. And then when they kick you out the court, they do the trial ex parte, meaning that they take the position of you and go through the case still, even though you're not there, in order to get adjudication. And then whatever the judgment is, then they send the judgment off saying that, guilty, not guilty, whatever like that. But you weren't in there saying anything. So same thing with the situation of some child support issue. The writ that he's referring to, it's on RV Bay publication. It's called Affidavit of Fact, Writ of Discovery, Suit 001. And in the writ, it's, because we're not sure who the parties are, because it's free national name, and then ex relation. Well, the ex relation is the same. So the individual did the writ in their free national name, ex relation, the straw man name, right? And there's a notice of ex parte Davis. And from what it looks like, the individual had their self represent and put all the things on the record with regard to the fraud of the child support in order to get the child support lifted. But they did that as free national. They didn't do that as in the case of with the other guy they mentioned, Brother Royale, who did the administrative, I'm a Negro, I'm gonna go through the process of what the court set up in order to get rid of this, right? Because they always have, when we're under occupation, they always have to give you some type of out, but it's gonna take research to find the out in the corporate setup, right? So if you have some type of situation, if we use vaccines, for example, right? People against vaccines, right? So the school is going to say you have to vaccinate, but the school also has a document that you can be exempt from vaccination that the school's giving you. Not anything Moorish, nothing like that. They have their own stuff that you can be exempt. All you need to do is have, quote unquote, a minister or pastor or religious leader sign off on it, and you'll be exempt from vaccination.
Or get it notarized.
Or get it notarized, right? Or you can go from the perspective of, well, my children are free nationals. I have my own exempt signed by my notary or whatever like that. That's gonna give that. You know what I mean? And then you file that and then you're exempt because, they can't force vaccinate you if you put something on the record of as to why you don't have to get vaccinated or why you shouldn't get vaccinated.
Especially when they have to deal with nationals, so you got the Sikhs, the Hindus, the
Right, everybody else, right.
People that come over here,
Right.
and they know they can't.
They're not
push
taking no
that.
vaccination.
No, they're not.
Nobody else is coming here and getting vaccinated. You know what I mean? Some might, right? So, but again, regardless of which angle you decide to go, the point of the matter is that they're in a child support situation. Once the father is in some type of disagreement with the mother that's irreparable, either the state's going to use her or she's going to use the state to get back